everyone, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to do a currently reading. I am the type of person who will read a million different books at the same time, just depending on what my mood is. I might want a romance, I might want something fantasy, historical, supernatural, you never know. So let's just get right on to it. This first book definitely does not need any introduction, and I feel a little ashamed that I have not actually finished this yet, but it is Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, the first book of the Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm absolutely obsessed with the HBO show. Now, normally I'm the type of person where I have to read a book before I watch the movie or the show that it's based on. This is one of those exceptions though. I absolutely love the show. I wait for it every year, and I have to say I'm a little upset that we don't get one in 2018 and we have to wait till next year. Not too happy about that. But in the meantime, I can finally finish reading this book and hopefully finish up the series before the last season premieres. So that's really all I'm going to say on this one, because I feel like everyone pretty much knows what this book is about. So the second book that I am currently reading is called The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. This is a part of a trilogy. This is the second book in the series. The first book is called The Name of the Wind. This is truly an amazing story. It is an epic of fantasy, folklore, basically how the main character, which I believe his name is pronounced Quoth. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's how it is pronounced. It is basically his journey on how he becomes a legend, this just heroic legend of his people. And the whole series takes place over 3 days. The first book is day 1, this is day 2, and we are still waiting on book 3 or day 3. I am about probably 1/4 of the way through this. It is a pretty large book. But if you love fantasy, like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, I highly recommend this to you. It is a brilliantly written, a wonderful epic. I think you would love it. Alright, next up on the list is The White Queen by Philippa Gregory. Now, this is an author that I just recently got into. I have always been fascinated with the history of the English kings and queens around around the time period of the War of the Roses and all of that good stuff. And she is an amazing author who writes about all of that time. This is the second book that I am currently reading by her. I decided to read the books in chronological order of the events that actually happened in history. I know that you can read these books in any order that you want. It's not necessarily a series you have to follow by a certain rule, but I decided to do it chronologically just because that's what I myself prefer to do. This particular book is about Elizabeth Woodville, who secretly married the recently crowned King Edward IV, and it basically just tells about her time as queen, what she does to protect her family, who were very big supporters of the Lancaster family, and she is now married into the York family. So high tensions there, and just kind of the journey on which she has to go through to keep her family safe and to keep them respectable in society like they once were. So if you like historical fiction, I definitely recommend Philippa Gregory. This is, like I said, only the second book I've read by her, but I am absolutely loving her writing style so far. Now, the next book I'm reading is one that I am sure you all have, if not read, at least heard of, but it is Stalking, Jack the Ripper by Keri Maniscalco. I just started this book, so I haven't gotten very far yet, but I am super excited to read it. I've always been fascinated by the story of Jack the Ripper, and I love romance stories, so to see a book about Jack the Ripper with someone actually falling in love with him, I find is just a very, very interesting concept, and very excited to see where this book takes me. So the next book that I'm currently reading is called Still Be by Jojo Moyes. This is the third book of a series. You probably are familiar with the first book called Me Before You. It was turned into a marvelous movie starring Emilia Clarke and Sam Claflin, and just beautiful story. It is heart-wrenching. I cry my eyes out every time I see the movie, every time I read the book, but it's such a beautiful story. I read that book right before the movie came out. I saw the trailer and was like, oh my god, I have to watch this, but I definitely need to read the book first, so that's what I did. I was automatically hooked, loved the movie. When the second book of the series, After You, came out, of course I read it, I devoured it, cried, laughed, loved it. And then the third one, Still Me, just recently came out. I am about probably a quarter of the way through it, and of course still loving it. It is an easy read, light read. Since it is Jojo Moyes, though, I expect to be crying by the end of it, but we shall have to keep reading to see. Alright, and the last book that I am currently reading is called The Chosen by J.R. Ward. If you have not heard of her, she is an awesome author of this great book. This is from a series called The Black Dagger Brotherhood. Basically what it's about is this group of vampire warriors. So there's a lot of action. Each story does also have its own romance though. Each book focuses on a specific character of the Brotherhood and the romance that is following them. And I would like to say though, I know a lot of people who are here on BookTube are mainly YA readers. This book and this series is definitely more adult romance than it is YA romance. So if you do not like to read love scenes that can be a little graphic and explicit, I recommend probably not going for this. But if you don't mind those and do like reading them, I highly recommend this series. It's pretty much got it all. It's got blood, guts, action, romance. What more could you really ask for out of a vampire romance novel? So those are the books that I am currently reading. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have read any of these books and have comments about it, I would love to see them. So please, comment down below what you thought of it. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, what about the book you didn't like or that you did like? I would just love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. And thank you so much for watching my video and clicking on my channel. I really hope you stick around, and if you would like to subscribe down below, that would be most amazing. And again, just thank you for watching my video, and I hope to see you around next time. Bye!